Okay, so today we're going to dive into something that you probably don't think about every single day when you're, touring open houses and stuff. And that's quantum physics.
Right.
You might be thinking, wait, I accidentally tuned into like a science lecture or something.
Yeah.
But trust us, this is going to be surprisingly relevant to your real estate journey.
Yeah, the world of quantum physics and real estate definitely seem like they're miles apart.
Right.
But what if I told you that there are these fascinating parallels that can completely change how you approach buying or selling a house?
Yeah, exactly. We're diving deep into this PDF today called Quantum Mechanics and Real Estate to uncover some of those really unexpected connections.
Yeah, this isn't about becoming a physicist, right, overnight.
Of course not.
It's more about taking these really mind-bending concepts and kind of seeing how they actually apply to the very real decisions you're making in your real estate journey.
Yeah, and our first stop on this journey is this concept called superposition.
Okay.
Now, stay with me here.
Okay.
This is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
So imagine you're a subatomic particle.
Okay.
Bear with me.
I'm with you.
And you exist in multiple states at the same time.
Wow.
You're not here or there.
Right.
You're kind of everywhere all at once.
Okay.
Wild, right?
Yeah. So it sounds strange, but that's actually the reality for these tiny particles.
Right.
They don't settle into a definite state until they're observed.
Why?
And believe it or not, this whole idea of existing in multiple possibilities actually mirrors the home buying experience pretty well. Yeah, just think about those early days of house hunting.
Yeah.
You're exploring different neighborhoods, you're touring a ton of different properties. You might even find yourself drawn to several different options at the same time.
Totally. It's like you're constantly asking yourself, could I see myself living here?
Exactly.
And sometimes the answer is yes to more than one place.
Exactly. And just like those particles in a state of superposition, you, the buyer, are constantly fluctuating between these possibilities. And the PDF even puts it nicely. It says the final choice remains in flux until the moment of decision.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So what can we actually take away from this?
Okay.
So
does
this mean we should just wander aimlessly through open houses hoping for some kind of like cosmic sign to point us in the right direction?
Not exactly.
Okay.
The key takeaway here is to really embrace that exploration phase.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to be open to a lot of different possibilities, and definitely don't feel pressured to settle on that first good enough option.
Right.
Your dream home might be lurking in a neighborhood you never even considered.
Yeah.
Or even in a style of house you thought you'd never go for.
That's so true.
Yeah.
This actually reminds me of a time when I was looking for my own place. A few years back, I had this like picture in my mind, of what I wanted. It had to be like a modern condo with all the bells and whistles.
Okay.
But after like weeks of searching and coming up totally empty, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I got to expand my horizons a little bit.
Yeah.
And I ended up in this like really charming older house
Wow.
with a ton of character, something I never thought I would go for.
It's amazing how that happens, right?
Totally.
Like, you think you know what you want,
Yeah.
and then you got to be open to other things.
Exactly.
Like, once you've kind of like navigated that initial superposition of possibilities,
Right.
and you've narrowed down your choices,
Okay.
you encounter another fascinating quantum concept, and that is entanglement.
Entanglement. Okay, so we're not talking about like getting tangled up in holiday lights, are we?
No.
Because that's like my least favorite thing about the holidays after like facing a bidding war, of course.
Right.
But okay, jokes aside, entanglement in like the real estate world, how does that even work?
Okay, so think back to those entangled particles we talked about earlier.
Okay.
They share this like invisible connection where if you take action on one particle, it instantly impacts the other no matter how far apart they are.
Oh, wow.
So imagine the buyer and the seller in a real estate transaction as those entangled particles.
Okay.
Their decisions are totally interconnected in this whole dance of offers and counter offers.
Oh, yeah.
Emotions even.
Right. So it's not just about the numbers on the piece of paper.
Exactly.
There's this whole other layer of like stuff going on behind the scenes.
It's about recognizing that both sides are coming to the table with their own set of hopes, their own dreams, maybe even a little fear.
Yeah.
Remember when that PDF said sellers are not merely offloading a property?
Yeah.
It's because they're often leaving behind years of memories,
Totally.
a place where their actual life unfolded.
Right. It's like you're not just selling a house. You're selling the room where your kid took their first steps.
Exactly.
Or like the backyard where you had like 1,000,000 barbecues.
And on the buyer's side, they're not just buying a structure, they're buying into a vision of their future, a place where they'll create their own memories.
That's a really good point.
Recognizing this entanglement, this deep connection between the buyer and the seller is so crucial for having a smooth transaction.
It makes those tough negotiations feel much more human.
It does. And it reminds us to approach those conversations with empathy and understanding,
Right.
which can make a world of difference.
For sure. So even when we acknowledge this entanglement, there's another layer of complexity that we have to kind of discuss here.
Okay.
And that's the unpredictable nature of the market itself.
Right. And that's where our next quantum principle comes in, the uncertainty principle.
Okay, so you mean like how sometimes even the best real estate agents can't predict what's going to happen next?
Exactly. In quantum mechanics, the uncertainty principle states that you can't know both the position and the momentum of a particle with perfect accuracy.
Okay.
The more precisely you know one, the less you know about the other.
Oh.
It's like a fundamental limit to what we can actually know for sure.
And that translates to real estate? We're not like measuring properties at the subatomic level.
Right.
We're not like measuring properties at the subatomic level.
Not quite, but think about it like this. Even with all the data points, all the market analysis, and all the expert predictions, there's always going to be like this degree of uncertainty in real estate.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
You think you've got a handle on like market trends and interest rates,
Right.
and then bam, like everything changes.
Exactly. Just when you think you found like the perfect time to buy or sell, some crazy curveball.
Yeah.
And it's not about like throwing your hands up and saying, well, it's all random anyway.
Right.
It's more about approaching the market with like a healthy dose of adaptability.
Okay.
And recognizing that flexibility is key.
So instead of trying to time the market perfectly, which is basically impossible, we should just be ready to kind of adjust our strategies as we go.
Precisely. Embrace the uncertainty. Be prepared to pivot and surround yourself with experts.
Good advice.
Who can help you navigate all those unexpected turns.
Makes sense.
Remember, the people who adapt quickly are often the ones who thrive.
Yeah, it's like that saying, the only constant is change.
Exactly. Now, speaking of navigating those challenges, let's talk about those moments when you encounter what seem like these impossible obstacles in your real estate journey.
Yeah.
That's where our final quantum principle comes in.
Okay.
Quantum tunneling.
And quantum tunneling. Okay. Now you're really losing me.
Okay.
Are we like digging tunnels to our dream homes now?
I wish it were that easy.
Right.
So in the quantum world, tunneling basically refers to a particle's ability to pass through any barrier, no matter how impenetrable it may seem.
Really?
It's like defying the laws of physics.
So how does that translate to, the real world of like contracts and negotiations and all that?
Okay, so think of it this way. Quantum tunneling in a real estate context is all about finding those creative solutions to those seemingly impossible problems. It's about looking for those alternative paths,
Right.
those workarounds that other people might miss.
Okay, like what are some like quantum tunneling moments that people have experienced?
So there are things like finding a really creative financing solution when a traditional mortgage just isn't going to work.
Okay.
Or successfully negotiating a really tricky contingency that was holding up a deal.
Right.
It's about seeing the potential in a property that other people just completely overlook.
Yeah, you got to have that vision.
And transforming those challenges into opportunities.
So it's about having that never give up attitude.
Yes.
It's that willingness to think outside the box.
Absolutely. Because sometimes the most rewarding deals, the ones that are like meant to be,
are the ones where you really had to get creative.
I like that.
To make it
The
happen.
little quantum thinking.
Yeah.
So to wrap things up today, who knew that quantum physics had so much to teach us about buying and selling real estate?
Right. It's really all about shifting your perspective.
Totally.
By understanding these concepts of superposition and entanglement and uncertainty and quantum tunneling, we can approach real estate with a fresh set of eyes, a greater sense of flexibility, and maybe even have a little fun along the way.
A little more fun.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe embracing a little quantum thinking can help you kind of break through those barriers and make those real estate dreams a reality.
I love it.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Until next time, happy house hunting.